Hello Bloomington, I'm Mayor Tim Busse, and this is the Council Minute for the week of April 1st. I hope everyone is doing well and survived our brief return to winter last week. Kudos to our plow drivers for once again keeping the roads in good condition until Mother Nature could take care of the rest. It's good to be back. We missed a week in mid-March as the communications team and I were very busy preparing for the State of the City event. It was a great event, and our award-winning communications team recorded it, so I'd encourage you to watch it on the city's YouTube channel. It's entertaining, and it provides a great overview of the work underway in the city, along with recognizing several impressive employees and residents here in Bloomington. I want to start today with an update on the most recent plans to build a water park next to Mall of America. You may have heard about it on the news or social media, and I suspect there are more than a few of you wondering why we're talking about this again. Well, this proposal is significantly different than previous proposals we've considered. First, let's take a minute to talk about how we got here. When the mall was first considered in the late 1980s, a water park was part of the plan. The owners of Mall of America also own the West Edmonton Mall, and they have successfully operated a water park there since 1986. The owners of the mall have long held the belief that to be successful long-term, a mall can't rely solely on retail. Entertainment and attractions need to be part of the mix. That's why Camp Snoopy was part of the original Mall of America. And that's why successful malls everywhere now include water parks, indoor ski hills, ice rinks, climbing walls, residential units, all kinds of things other than retail to bring people to the mall. Having MOA remain a top destination is a big deal. It's no secret that hospitality is a very important industry here in Bloomington, and Mall of America anchors many of the hotels, bars, restaurants, and successful attractions here in Bloomington. At a minimum, the hospitality industry accounts for almost 14% of the total revenues of the city of Bloomington. And to be very clear, the property taxes paid by you and by me and all the homeowners and businesses in Bloomington would be significantly higher if not for the enormously successful hospitality industry here in Bloomington. So, a water park has been discussed for decades and would energize and add vibrancy to the South Loop and the city. A 2020 water park proposal got derailed by COVID. A 2022 water park proposal stalled because of increased construction costs and high interest rates. Which brings us to today, when Mall and Port Authority staff have been working on another proposal that is different in a lot of ways compared to earlier proposals. The proposed water park that staff presented to the City Council and the Port Authority last week would be 220,000 square feet, about 30% smaller than previous proposals. Because of the smaller size, different design elements, and the addition of a retractable roof, it's expected this new plan would use up to 35% less water and 50% less electricity than previously estimated. And because of these changes, it's expected to cost less. The cost of the entire project is now estimated at $373 million. And that cost breaks down like this: $250 million for the water park, $75 million for a parking ramp and other infrastructure, and $48 million for other costs like land, financing costs, and project reserves. $373 million is a lot of money. There's no doubt about that. And the next logical question is, where's that money coming from? And that's a very good question with a very specific answer. Here's a breakdown of the funding sources. $160 million would come from two different tax increment financing sources, and $213 million would come from Mall of America securing private debt financing. MOA is going to get a loan. I want you to take note that in that very specific answer, nowhere on that list of funding sources do you see City of Bloomington general fund dollars. Tax increment financing funds are not general property tax dollars. You and I, Bloomington residents, don't pay tax increment financing. Very simply, tax increment financing, or TIF, uses additional property taxes generated and paid as the result of development to pay for development costs. By law, that money can't go just anywhere. It needs to be reinvested into the TIF district where the value was created. That's what we mean when we say it's fenced money. And while typically TIF can only be used for public improvements like roads or infrastructure or parking, legislation passed at the end of the pandemic temporarily expanded how TIF could be used as an economic development tool. So, when you see social media posts saying that this project is going to cost you, the taxpayer, loads of money, it's not. know that the property taxes you pay would not go toward this water park project. People posting otherwise either don't know the facts or they don't want you to know the facts. Social media can be a great thing for sharing information, but remember that not everything you see on social media is accurate. And one other piece of this proposed deal. Every year, after the debt service has been paid on the water park, 100% of the profits would be deposited into two separate funds that would be used for reinvestment. That recapture would continue until a minimum of $100 million is back in those reinvestment funds. There is still a ton of work to do on this, and the past has taught us that there's no such thing as a done deal. The Sustainability Commission will be briefed on this next week, and both the Port and the City Council will meet again in mid-April to consider a term sheet. If approved, design work would take place throughout the spring and summer, with the goal of breaking ground next spring. As I said, there's still a lot of work to do on this. Stay tuned. And while we're on the topic of economic development, last month the Bloomington Port Authority kicked off their work to establish a 5-year economic development plan for the city of Bloomington. This effort will help guide the port over the next 5 years as they expand their services and work area to include the entire city. The Port Authority has contracted with a consultant team from TIP Strategies, a group that has worked with more than 400 clients in 44 states. And the goal is to create a plan that will provide short, medium, and long-term strategies to build Bloomington's economy and guide the Port Authority. Specifically, they'll be working to update the Port Authority mission, they'll be identifying metrics of success and how to track those metrics, and they'll be creating business development, retention, and attraction strategies. The folks from TIP were here in Bloomington in late March, and they were busy with meetings, presentations, and a citywide tour. In the coming weeks, we'll receive our first sets of quantitative data from the team, and the consultant team will return for another visit later this spring. The project is anticipated to wrap up in September of this year. That will do it for this week's Council Minute. Thanks much for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe, Bloomington.